This lesson is going to look at comparing the different types of functions that we have previously talked about and how to identify when looking at data what type of function it is. So take a look at this table. This table has a common difference because if we're looking at the values for y, if you subtract each one and the one previous, you come up with 4. So when you get a common difference when you are looking at a table, then you have a linear function. So remember, a linear function, when you graph it, it is a graph of a straight line. The rate of change, which is another word for the slope, is constant. And then if you're looking at the equations, the largest exponent is 1, and a variable is not in the denominator or fraction if you have any. We have two types of main linear equations when we graph them. One is in slope-intercept form, which is what you see here. If you need more help on how to graph any of these functions, please revisit the videos or the notes from each particular section. This is another example of a linear equation in standard form. And remember, with standard form, we had to find the x and the y intercepts and connect them to make a graph. If we're looking at this table, notice in red, between each term and its previous in the y column, there is not a common difference. But if we take those differences and we subtract them and their previous difference, we find that we have a common difference there. So if you have a second common difference, that implies that the information that you're looking at is a quadratic function. And again, here is an example of a quadratic function that makes the U-shape or the parabola shape graph. Then if we're looking at our final example in a table, is there a common difference? The answer is no. Is there a second common difference? The answer to that is no as well. And there is a common factor. That common factor is 3. So if there's a common factor, it implies that the function that you're looking at is exponential. Another way to kind of look at it being exponential is that you look at your numbers and they're increasing very rapidly. We're starting at 0, and then after 5 numbers, we're all the way down to 243. So those numbers are increasing quite rapidly, and that usually implies that it's an exponential function as well. Checking the fact, though, that you have a common factor. And this is an example of an exponential function that's graphed because remember, it makes a curve.